And what's up, Disrupt Nation? Thank you once again for joining me on the Super Creators podcast. This is your host, Super Manny. And today I have a very special guest coming out from the Bay Area. I'm just going to give you a quick background and introduce him, and then we'll get going from there. So today our guest is Anshul. He is a 25-year-old photographer, director, and entrepreneur from the Bay Area. His photography is known to capture the harsh realities of life within the Bay Area, utilizing his signature street photography style, and has been featured in the Huffington Post, Thrive Global, BuzzFeed, and many other media outlets for his portraits. So welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
How's everything going so far?
Pretty good. Can't complain. How about yourself?
It's going good. I mean, weather's good outside, but I'm like freezing. I always have the AC.
Yeah. Yeah, I have that problem after lunch. I have a heavy lunch and I just feel freezing. I need to get my thyroid checked or something.
Yeah. That usually happens to me, but with sleep.
Yeah.
Definitely, brother. So I'm finally happy that we were able to get this podcast going. I know we mentioned it months ago, and then
Oh, no worries,
as
yeah, things get crazy. Yeah, I'm glad it was a good time for both of us.
Yeah, none of it was perfect because now it's like the ideal time, like they say, right? There's never a wrong time.
For sure.
So I know we definitely connected, right, through Disrupt, and we even have one of your articles up on the Disrupt Digital website. So that's super dope. I'm definitely gonna link that so people can read it. But so like basically, like I was mentioning, the point of this podcast is really highlighting the creators, the people behind the work, and sharing your story, and that people connect with you more on like a personal level with your artwork. So one of the questions I like to begin and asking is, what got you into the creative space? Like, was it always photo and video, or did you have like that journey that kind of led to that?
I definitely had, I would say, a journey that led to that. Initially, like I knew, like for a long time, I knew I always wanted to create. Like I wanted to draw specifically, like especially like in class, you see kids like doodling when you're younger, and some kid like create something that's absolutely amazing, and I was just like, try it on my own, and I couldn't get a straight line right. My handwriting was a mess, that didn't work out. And I would say, when I got older, I remember my freshman year of high school, we had a digital photo class at school. I took that class, but I didn't do that good in it. Like I was getting like solid C, so I gave up on it because I was like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. Then my junior year of high school, I believe, my auntie had bought a DSLR, and she gave it to me, and she was like, hey, go mess with it and teach me how to use it, because she just didn't understand. And she never ended up getting it back. So that's kind of how that started. And, eventually my mom bought me my first one when I was like 15, 16 as a way to just keep me out of trouble.
Oh, definitely. So actually that's funny how you mentioned that you started with drawing, because it was kind of the same with me, except I never got any of the drawing skills. My brother's like, he's like the full artist, but like the most I'll get is like a few smiley faces, and like that's where my art skills go.
For sure. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. My mom can draw. I can't. I just never got the genes.
Yeah. Well, that's why. But it's funny because at least you saw the art of creating, and you knew that you wanted to be able to produce something. So when you picked up the camera, what got you hooked about it?
I would say like at first it was a way for me to like see new things, and it gave me an excuse to kind of get out of the house and like go explore really. And like it just kind of gave you that feel of like I can like show people what I see and express myself, like, with the colors I choose or the spot or time of the day that I take a photo. And like that's what initially drew me to it. Like but when I was 15, 16, I was terrible. So it was really just a form of expression at that time, just purely a form of expression. And I guess that's what I liked about it is for the first time I feel like people could kind of see how I thought, or like see what I was experiencing without like having to be there or without me having to say
Nice.
anything.
Nice. So then that's an important point to be made. And actually it's kind of like, it's the purpose of this podcast existing and us having this conversation is that artists reflect who they are through what they create. Right.
Sure.
And a lot of times it's like, as art is subjective, right? As people say, it's
Hmm.
subjective. Nothing's perfect. Nothing's the right way. Like it's your way of doing it. But I think what really like brings people together is the story of the creator who made it, right? Like everybody
Right.
has a picture of the New York City skyline.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
Everybody has a picture, but there might be a certain picture that you love the most, and it's because when you were there was something that you were going through or something happened or minutes before that photo was taken, like X, Y, and Z. So I feel
Of
like
course. Yeah.
that type of expression is what really makes it
Yeah.
art.
I
What
totally
brings the
feel
art.
you. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I totally feel you. And especially like, when you mentioned the New York City skyline photo, it is true. You could go to any Marshalls, Ross, or across the
Yeah.
nation and pick one up. And it's almost like a staple of like, I don't know what to buy for my house. There's something about, I remember I was talking to my friend, and he has a bunch of New York City skyline photos up. And he said, well, I was broke. I went to Marshalls and I got this set. So this means a lot to me because like now that I have, money, but this was my first piece of decoration ever. So that's why I keep it up. So
Yeah.
it's just awesome to hear that.
Well, yeah, it's right. It's something that like we resonate with, and I think that's like the important thing to always keep in every artwork that we do. It might not be the most polished or the best, but if the story's
Right.
in there, it's gonna connect with people.
Right.
So then, when you first started out with photography, obviously, like most of us, we started as like hobbyists and learning. But what made you take it to like the next level? Like, what was that
Uh,
turning point?
Honestly, I never really thought I would ever get paid to use a camera, as weird as that sounds. Because like when you're 15, 16 and you're doing it just like express yourself. I remember at the time, like, as an adolescent millennium youth,
Hmm.
Tumblr was pretty hot. So I was using Tumblr, and I remember one day I had like posted something, and it got like I think it was like 100,000 notes or something absurd, and like I had never had like a message in my inbox like ever because nobody
Yeah.
really followed me, and that there were a bunch of people were like, hey, can I buy this photo or can I buy this one? And I was like, wait, you guys want to buy my shit right now? And like everybody was just like, yeah, like we want to buy it. Like how do we buy it? And I was like, I've never printed anything before, like nothing. I ended up doing that and sent it. And after that it kind of kept recurring. Like a lot of people wanted to buy prints, especially on like Tumblr. So I started I think it was Big Cartel. I started that, and I was just like, wow, like people really want to like buy my stuff. Now, how do I take this to the next level and actually like get paid to like go shoot? Because there's only so many prints you can sell, right?
Yep.
Um, so yeah, ever since then, I mean, it's definitely been a slow process of like figuring it out and getting to this point. Like I would say, like a very slow process, but that in the way I think is like the spirit of entrepreneurship is nothing happens overnight and nothing happens when you want it to happen, but you just got to keep doing the legwork until it does.
For sure. Definitely. So what was your next step? I mean, like, okay, so you first found out that you can, make some type of money through prints and that people were actually liking your work. So then what was your next step to start your own business or to get shoots? Because I know this is a thing that, most creators go through.
Right.
Some don't understand the process or how to start or don't think their work is good enough to start. So like, how did you just like, what was that next step? Did you just start
Right.
reaching out to potential clients or?
Pretty much, yeah. I was sending a lot of emails out because that now it was almost like starting all over again, I guess. Because like now I was like, okay, I've explored for myself, and to a certain extent, like I guess people do like my work, but then I really wanted to get into music. Like I've been a huge fan of listening to like rap my whole life,
Oh,
and I was like, that nobody's gonna hire me if I say I can make a music video and I've never made one, or if I say I can do show photos and I've never done any, then I don't have the portfolio for it. So I would reach out to people I thought were dope, locally and on a bigger stage. Ian Kelly's one of them, going on 4 or 5 years now. He's now signed to Ninth Wonder's label Jamla
Nice.
in North Carolina.
Mhm.
And, like really just reaching out and being like, hey, like, I think what you're doing is cool. If you're willing to give me a chance, I want to build a portfolio, and really just like growing with somebody. And once you have the portfolio down, then like in a certain sense, word of mouth almost does the heavy lifting for you when it comes to getting more shoots.
Definitely. Okay, so your approach was more or less finding someone who you can work well with and collab with, right? So
Yeah.
essentially, kind of like a muse, right? You found
Uh-huh.
someone as an artist that you can help promote their work and then also express, your creativity without any like, guidelines.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Most definitely.
so that's dope. Yeah, because a lot of people, I mean, I don't want to say a lot. I'm going to say some
Right.
don't understand. Like I know I have a good friend. He was also on the podcast, um, and he was mentioning how some people deny free shoots. Right? They're like, oh no,
They
I want to
do.
shoot for
Yeah.
free because of X, Y, and Z. Because I know my worth. And even he says that he knows his worth. In the fashion industry and how he does his work, but depending on how you leverage that partnership of a free shoot, it could be so worth it.
Yeah. And I
So
think it's really about tapping in with the right people and making sure, because in a way, when you're doing free stuff, you're almost entering like a realm of, I don't want to say partnership, but like kind of like that sort of platform. And if you're confident in the person and you're on good terms with them and you talk to them and you guys gel together, it works out. But I really think, I guess that's my number one advice to young creative kids is you have to work for free before you can make money. Like nobody's going to pay you if you have nothing to show yet.
yeah, you have to build out some type
Yeah.
of portfolio. And
Yeah.
the good thing about that is another thing that a lot of people like miss out on is usually when you're getting paid to do a photo shoot or a video shoot, there's usually a lot of restrictions on your creativity,
Oh yeah. Big
right?
time.
Because
Big
the
time.
client
Yeah.
already has a view of whatever their company is, of what their product is, of what their branding is. So you just kind of have to like create under those guidelines. But when you collab
Right.
with somebody, it's like, look, I'm gonna do me. I want you to do you and
Right.
get it done and make it look dope.
Right. Right.
So it's a
Yeah.
real way to express like who you are as a creative instead of just having like a reel of all these kind of commercial type of shoots.
Right. I definitely agree. And I think that way, like, I get a lot of people that hit me up saying, like, hey, I like what you did for so and so. I saw those. And, like, I was really fucking with those. And could you do that for me? Because they already know, like, what they're getting out of it. But if I hadn't put in that initial legwork, if I was just doing what other people wanted because I wanted to make, like, let's be honest, at the entry level stage, photography or videography doesn't pay that well.
Mhm.
So if you're willing to go build your portfolio, then take that and get paid for what you feel you're actually worth, you'll actually get paid that much because people know this is what you do.
For sure, definitely. Yeah, and even on the same like on that same kind of thought is a lot of people like when they reach out to me for my work, it's from the personal videos that I did. It's usually
Right,
not from the commercial videos because like I'll try
right,
to send them a reel, but I'm like I can't really send you this commercial because
sure.
the music was kind of to the taste of the client, the editing was kind of to their taste,
Yeah,
so it's not really a true expression. So I'll send them like my work, and they're like, okay, this is that's
yeah.
what they like. So
I
it's kind of
totally feel you on that sense. Yeah,
we're,
I know
we're
exactly
always
what you
juggling
mean. Yeah.
the art and the business side of everything.
Right, right. It's there's a fine line, and I don't know if I found it yet, but I'm hoping one day.
Yeah, no, I don't think
I
there's a
can,
fine thing. We just kind of like
yeah,
sometimes we like get in the lane and then we like jump out, come back in.
right,
So dope.
right.
So then right now, so what do you like? What do you say that you specialize in? Like if people go to work for you, like what are you mainly focusing on right now?
I would say I'm mainly focusing on. It was weird because I felt like I spent a lot of last year focused on videography, but this year I kind of switched gears back to like just really, really gritty street portraits, especially just because I've seen it's part of in the Bay Area. I'm seeing it change so much that it's I forget the word that's used in the newspaper all the time. I think it's called tech yuppie crowd. I think that
Okay.
was the exact word. So I'm seeing it change so much, and like regular folk are, kind of being pushed around. So like I really wanted to bring it back to portraits and like shooting some of the grittier stuff and like really capturing neighborhood lifestyle all across the Bay. Um, and before I genuinely believe just from some of the changes that I've seen that in the next 10 to 15 years, a lot of it will be gone. So I just want to make my mark saying I tried to help before uh, that all goes
Before it went
away.
down, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And then, so are you originally from the Bay Area?
So I was born in Miami, but I don't really remember much. Moved to the Bay when I think I was like 4 or 5.
Okay. So
Yeah.
basically, you're a native there.
Yeah. At this point, uh,
Okay. I haven't been to Cali yet, but I'm hoping either this year or next I'll be able to head down there. I know a lot of really, really good people out there.
yeah. You most definitely should, man. It's totally worth it.
Yeah. No, no. I know I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right.
Oh. So then you mentioned you were doing video work for a while, and then so you went back into photography. So what was that process like? Why did you go into video? Because I know a lot, like, even myself, I started out as, pure photography. And then I literally in the last year, it was like from day to night, I was like, I got to do video. And,
Right. I hear you.
so what was that like reasoning for you, or like, why did you kind of go into video and then now you step back a bit?
So I'm still doing videos, but I wanted to step back just because I was just kind of sick of like earlier we were talking about a client's vision or whatever. Sometimes I got really sick of creating what I just call like whatever shit. Like I don't want to create another rap video without a narrative, or like if I have written the narrative and if the client pulls out budget last second, and it just felt like there was a lot of time wasted. So I'll still do video. I'm just when somebody hits me up and they want to do a video, I'm just very picky on, explaining everything beforehand. And they really just got to be willing to take that extra step. And, nothing good ever gets. I think my final straw it was probably around this time last year where I was like, I'm going to stop saying yes to everything. I had a client and he came up, his song was like 2 minutes, 30 seconds. He wanted it shot in 2 hours in 2 different locations.
It's not happening.
So
It's not
yeah, so
happening.
like I threw it together, like I did what I could,
Yeah.
but like I was just like this like hurts, like it hurts making stuff like this. It's not fun for me. At the end of the day, people are gonna see it and they're gonna be like, "Damn, he's lazy as fuck. He only went to 2 locations. They're gonna blame it on me. They're gonna blame it on him."
Mm-hmm.
So I just I'll still do it, and I still do it frequently, but I'm trying to work on bigger stuff, more well planned, and really just plan it down to the point where I have to show up somewhere at 9 a.m. and just execute. And that's kind of
For sure.
where I want to continue going with it.
Nice. No, no, that's good. I'm definitely glad that you took that step, because it's also something that I've been like, dealing with personally. Is like, of course, you want to do, you want to work with certain people, and then if work comes in, you kind of don't want to shoot it down. But being a generalist is hard because you have to work
Right,
with everybody, and then it's like nothing's ever like that. Like it's good because you're doing it, but it
right,
will never be like that good. Like if you were in control, directing, and it's
right.
funny because I always tell this to Anthony all the time, and I'm like, you ever notice like sometimes, even when it's like the disrupt branding stuff,
Hmm.
like sometimes it'll take me a minute, like just to like get in the flow, and then like want to work
Right,
and like, and then choose the music, and then I'm like, but is this the right music, for the brand? And
sure.
it's like my stuff, like I get it done in minutes. Like, like literally, even that
Right.
the video that I was telling you that I was working on today, like I
Hmm.
had the files on my computer for a while, and I was just like, you know what, today let me just work on it. I kid you not. I would say maybe 30 minutes. All the clips are together. It's color graded. The music's there. I went on YouTube to try to find like an audio track, like a voiceover audio track.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes, I found the perfect one. And I'm like, this is perfect. It's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
No, you're totally right. You're totally right.
When I try to do that for clients, it's like, it's like
Yeah.
that's, you know,
Because it's not just about what we want anymore at that point.
yeah, no, but it's, you know, so it's funny that like, and that's where kind of like, you know, going back to the topic is like making that understanding to the client that like, if they really want the work to be done well, it has to be under our standards.
Right.
You know, us as the creator, like, okay, you hired me, so then you're my client. So that means I have to give you the best result the way that I know. So even though they have a vision and etc., but we have to make sure that we deliver why they hired us and not somebody else. You know, so that's like, so there's definitely power in saying no to clients.
Yeah. I think, you know, at first I was kind of scared about it since a large majority of my financial checks came from doing stuff in high volume. But I think after saying no, I've been able to do better stuff that pays more because people don't see me as doing everything anymore.
Yeah.
So,
let's work and get
really, yeah. So really, it works out for the better, and it puts, you know, whoever's creative in a much better mental state if you just work on what you want to work on.
So yeah, no, that's for sure. I mean, like you said, it's scary at the beginning, like saying no, but once you realize like the worth, it's totally there because then even client work becomes fun. It still becomes creative. It becomes an expression of yourself. So it's not like work anymore, and then everybody ends up happy.
Right.
So it's a win. I think
I totally agree.
Should try to apply that as much as it's as scary as it is. Just try to say no. You know,
sure.
when they say, "Oh, can we do 2 hours, 2 locations?" No, it's not gonna look good. It's not gonna work. Let's stretch it out to a 2-day shoot. Let's choose these locations.
Sure. Yeah, I'm 100% with that.
That's dope, though. That's good. So then, right now, so you're running. I mean, I guess it's a personal brand, or are you running like, strictly photography business, video business? Like, how do you go about like branding yourself as a creative in your area?
So it's not, I guess with what I'm doing right now with the Kybalion VFX thing, it's funny. So the VFX was originally a joke because somebody has told me, they're like, do you know how to do this effects? Like one of my friends, and they're like, you should put a VFX at the end of your name as a joke because you can't do that shit. Later, I ended up knowing what he was telling me, but like initially, like it was just kind of a joke. But yeah, so it started off more video based, like I had explained. But like as far as how I go branding myself in my area, I had a pop up shop mid-January. Okay. Man, I already forget the date. I really go to, like, I try to go to a lot of events, especially of people that I'm a fan of, or like clients that I've worked with that I really fuck with, to like meet more like-minded people. And really, like, I guess the most important advice or the most important lesson I have for people is just be you, just be genuine. Because I mean, you can kind of smell somebody that's like an opportunist from like a mile away, and like at the end of the day, like trust is something that's irreplaceable, and loyalty is something that's irreplaceable. And if you're genuinely being you and genuinely there because you care, it shows. So that's like, it sounds kind of corny or cliche, but I think first comes first. If you're a good person, and if you can also create good work, the good person part is going to carry you further than, you know,
the good work. Yeah.
So
no, for sure. That's, I mean, like, I forgot who I was speaking with the other day, and they were mentioning that, well, people really work with you because they like you.
Right.
You know? And there was, I think this guy, Dan, he does like, entrepreneurship and like sales, and he was mentioning that like when people buy a product or like buy from you, it's either one of three things. It's either they like you, they want to be like you, or they like want to basically they want to like associate themselves like with you. So they like who
Right.
you are, they want to be like you, or they at least want to be like around you.
Sure.
So it's like, so it really doesn't, like, of course your work has to be good, you know, at least good enough to carry yourself, right, to get the job
Right.
done. But it's really who you are, because in the end of the
Hmm.
day, I know people who put out work 10 times, 100 times better than mine, but that personal connection that I have with certain clients, it's like, even if they can afford that other person, they would come to me because of who I am, you know,
Right.
and that
Right.
connection. So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, no, it's important that, you know, making that connection and being, like you said, being true and being as real as you can. And I think that's one of the hard things, because we live in the social media age
Sure.
of
Sure.
flossing and flexing.
Yeah. And everybody wants it now, and it comes off very disingenuous.
Yeah.
like, I mean, chances are, I hate to break it to the world, you can't be 20 years old with the car of your dreams, flying on private jets all the time, and just being on permanent vacation. Like, chances are you can't, but you can.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's like
Yeah,
few who can pull it off, but
yeah,
it's a whole backstory
yeah,
to how they got there.
yeah, yeah. So, I
Absolutely.
mean, I just try to tell people that go on social media, do your thing, interact with people that are cool, but I don't think you should get worried about another person's what you feel their worth is, or be in a competition with something that's never going to work out.
Yeah. So then what do you think about like social media as a creative? Because I know this is always a kind of like a back and forth thing. Some people like it, you
Right.
know, it's always easy to see a trend and then try to copy a trend and follow it through.
Sure. Of
Um,
course.
but like, what do you think, or how has been your approach to like, you know, social media and like what you post? Like, do you have a kind of like method to the madness, or just kind of as it comes?
Uh, I just kind of well, first, like, what we definitely do have rollouts and stuff for when people are dropping albums and stuff like that. But when it comes to just like me doing personal stuff, I just kind of like I'm me, and I just kind of like speak from the heart, I guess. Like when it comes to just as far as captions go and stuff, because I feel like in a world that's so saturated, like sometimes people need to be brought back down to earth and just realize that like everybody's just regular people. I wouldn't say I dislike social media at all. I think it's helped a lot of people start phenomenal careers, and whether I agree with their mythology, their methods or not, I can't really hate on a person that it
Mm-hmm.
has cracked the formula. Um, but for me, I think the most important thing for me is just being genuine, and be really supporting my clients, my friends when it comes to a rollout. And I know me and Kelly have some stuff planned out like for months in advance right now, that it's all done, it's all set to go, but we can't post it yet. And it sucks. I
Yeah,
hate
yeah, that always
holding on to stuff, but you
that
know,
always happens.
yeah. But it is what it is, and when the time's right, good things happen. But yeah, really, I just like who I am in social media is who I am in real life, and there's no real disconnect. And I really try to keep it that way.
Oh, that's awesome. I love hearing that. Yeah, because that's something like, I mean, even myself, like you know, there's always the tips and tricks of how to do the things and when to post and the hashtags. But like even myself, like I get to a point where I just, you know, I just can't post if I'm not feeling it, if I'm not in the mood. And like, you know, I gotta really feel it and feel connected with, you know, with the
Yeah,
audience. And sometimes I feel like, you know, I let my audience down in a bit, you know, like my
right,
than like those who follow. But I'm just like, but if I'm being like disingenuous and like not real, I'm letting them down even more. So
right,
I'd rather be on like a, you know, 7-day hiatus and then come back like, all right, I'm good. I've been working on some stuff. I just didn't want to
right,
show up here. Like,
right.
you
Yeah.
know,
Nah, I
I
totally
feel
feel
like,
you.
yeah, I think people like just could connect with that, like, you know, a little bit like more. And I feel like that's how we're transitioning more into like, you know how social media at first like kind of disconnected everybody, but I
Right,
feel like it's connecting everyone again, because we're coming down, like you said, coming like back down to earth. Like everybody
right,
now is just going back to like just the basics, just being who you are, just expressing, just sharing for, for love of sharing, and like, just being like as transparent and like blunt as possible of like who you are. And I think that's the funny part,
Right.
because when we
I,
see like all these like superstars, quote unquote, right, like famous people, but the moment they do something funny or silly, that's when we connect with them.
right. Of course.
you
Yeah.
know
It's totally true because you start to realize that everybody's human again. Like, and I think that's the important thing is, but like you said, I think it is coming back down, and you are seeing more genuine people leak through, and of course, there's always going to be that high end luxury lifestyle culture. But I was actually watching. I think it was Manny that not sorry, you're Manny. It was Anthony that did an ad with K Swiss, or a
Yep.
little clip with K Swiss, and he says something interesting. I don't want to butcher his quote because it was so cold, but he says something like, "It's not the shoes that make the man; it's the man that makes the shoes."
Hmm.
And I really like that. I really like that because he's like, everybody wants all this cool shit in a way, and in reality, like it's about you to like if you like it and if you're just being yourself, and if that's the best version of yourself, then it will be what you want it to be.
Hmm. Definitely. Yeah, because I mean, like, let's just say, like, to put that even in perspective, like, you can be like, let's say, like the wackest person, like you're just like, there's nothing like to you, and just
Right.
because you have a Ferrari, you're just as whack, but with that car.
Right.
Like,
That's
it
what I
really
think
doesn't
too.
make you better. Like,
Yeah,
you
there's
know,
plenty of cornballs on this planet. Like,
you
we
know.
don't need more.
But
But
like, but if they do have that, great personality, and like, just people like mess with that vision, and then they have like that certain look, it just amplifies who they are.
right.
But the other way around, it's like, come on, what are you doing? Like, you can't walk around
Yeah.
he's looking like that. Like,
Yeah. I mean, not everybody can pull everything off, and not
no, they
everybody's that
can't.
type of person. Like, if I went into Russell Westbrook's closet and put on something that he wears on, it would not look good on me.
It wouldn't.
So I think the important thing is like really just like whether it's creativity, because I think every little thing you do adds up to the big picture, whether that be just work or not. And I definitely know some dudes that are 100 times better than me. Like, I really fuck with what they're doing, but like as people, the ego and the arrogance and the overall cheese factor, just
Yeah.
it's everywhere, and I can't like it's like wow, like I really wanted to like this person, but
Yeah.
it's just it's like but I don't, and I'm trying not to be that guy. I think I'm doing a pretty decent job, and hopefully I can continue that.
Oh man, that's so funny. I think there was literally somebody this week that I was like following, and I'm just like, it's like I want to like his work and like I want to follow, but I can't take no more of this. Like,
Right. No, I hear
you
you.
know, but that's hilarious. So then, who are some of the people that you actually like look up to, like for your work, like even when you were starting out? Like, what are like, your inspirations?
Right. There's a dude from Chicago named Trash Hand. Definitely first and foremost, like I and there's another dude also from Chicago named Cole Bennett that like really started an empire with making music videos, and is probably now he's probably like 21, 22, and he's currently the most successful music video director on the planet.
Wow.
So like I've been following his career and watching it unfold, and but both those guys, like Trash is just a photographer, but he was really doing something different with it, and like watching him like really gave me inspiration, I guess, to go capture more of the real. Like his stuff just looks real. Um, and like as far as Cole Bennett, like his creativity is just unparalleled. Like I can't believe some
Hmm.
of the stuff that enters his head, and both those dudes are cool as fuck in interviews. So like that's
Yeah.
the extra part is they're just real humble, and like they care about doing a good job and being a good person, and recognize the role they play in modern day society and how influential it is, and use that to just keep creating cool stuff and bettering the world for future generations that are going to step in their shoes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's dope. I'm definitely gonna check out their work since you mentioned. I love checking out new people's works and just like to get always a different perspective, a different view. Like I always say with all types of creativity, there's like everybody wants to be 100% original, right? Everybody wants to be like
Right.
the only guy to, like that's not gonna happen. Like the fact that you have a camera, then there's only so much originality. Like you have to learn from
Right.
before you have to there's but there's a difference between what I call like copying or biting somebody's style.
Right.
Like you're just like straight like chomping it up and like stealing it. But
Right.
I think every creative is really a reflection of everyone who they learned from, right? Like there might be somebody who well, let's say like in my case, like the way somebody uses certain colors, I took from like one creative. The way somebody does their framing, I take from like a different creative. The way
Of
somebody
course.
edits. So like all those like little things, then in the end, it's my style inspired by all of them.
Right.
So
Right. I definitely agree. I think that was a big wake up call for me as well. Is for a while, like I'll straight up admit I was trying to copy 13's Witness back in the day. Like straight up, I wanted his colors, I wanted his angles,
mhm.
I wanted everything. And no matter how hard I tried, my shit
you,
looked nothing
you
like
get
it.
it. I
And
know.
that's when I realized I was like, okay, like I need to stop trying to be people, but like still get inspired and like the things I could take away from it and like because I'm never gonna be him, right? I could do like I literally tried doing everything the same way he did it, and I still couldn't be him. So
Mhm.
I think once you figure that out, that's really where I started to develop my own style. Is once I realized that I couldn't do
Yeah,
what some of the other people were doing because it wasn't me.
because it wasn't you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I know the same thing. Actually, it's funny. One of the last interviews I had was actually with my um, like my favorite photographer, which is Eric Hercules. And like when I
Oh
started,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
know who it is. Yeah,
so I started seeing like his style, and I was just like, so I would try
yeah.
to like understand like the way he uses colors and like do everything, and it was the same. And I was just like, why? I could try to take that same picture, and it just won't
It
look like
won't work.
it just
Yeah,
so but I still try to like I understand like now more the process behind of like what you're trying to do, and then that is really like what gave me like understanding to do like my own work and stuff. So
sure,
it's
sure.
I share
Yeah,
that similar struggle trying to like
yeah.
imitate somebody's style, but it's and it's funny because your a style is not something that you can like you can't write it down on a piece of paper. You can't be like, okay, this is me as a photographer, like that. Like it's something that just comes out, you know,
Right.
as you start doing your work, it's like it develops.
And I think as you mature more, because I would say I'm 25 now, and I wouldn't say I really started developing. Like I would say the first like 5 6 years were just learning more, like really just learning more in terms of like I know nothing and I'm just sponging and along the way try to copy. But I would say I didn't start developing my style until like 22 for
Yeah.
sure. I would definitely say that, and I think that's when I was old enough to realize that like I don't really care what's in or what people think about me. Like, of course I care, and if everybody thinks I suck, but like then that's a
Yeah.
different story. Then I have a different problem in my head. But like I just need to like express myself without like worrying that it doesn't look like that or that it's not that. Uh, and like once I was comfortable enough to do that, like things started clicking a little bit better for me. I think.
Yeah. No, this thing. Yeah, no. I definitely resonate with that because it's like now, even when I look back at some of my photographs, I'm just like at that time, like you said, I was shooting to shoot. Like I saw something, I thought it looked dope. I just shot it. Later, I would edit it, like however
Yeah,
I felt like, and like zero pretext, like not thinking about anything.
yeah,
And then just really like in the last year, I would have to say, or like 2 years, it was really when like took a step back and like thought like, okay, what's my style? Like, what does defines me? Like, what am I going for? And but those first years, like
right.
it's amazing. Actually, it's funny. I just recently I hung up these pictures, and they were some of like my first. I would say in the first year of me like shooting, and they're still
Sure.
some of my favorite till this day. And I'm just like at that time I didn't know what I was doing. I was probably using an 18 to 55 lens,
Yeah,
like
yeah. No,
you know.
I definitely have some favorites from back then because there's something about the beauty of just having fun with it. And at that time, like when you don't know is when you're most dangerous because you have no idea what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just putting stuff together and like you can't do it again even if you tried because sometimes the knowledge almost like it's great, but sometimes it like creates this like
Just
filter
block.
in your head, yeah,
Yeah.
where it's like I want to do that. But back then when as you can see from the pictures on your wall, and I have a couple favorites from when I was younger too. Uh, I'm just like, man, like I can't do that again.
Yeah.
I'm too like conscious. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what it is.
But I kind of wish I can, for a day just step back to that feeling of just not
Right.
thinking too much.
Yeah,
No, I think but it's like, it's a journey. It's
it
what makes
is.
it
It
fun.
is
It's definitely what makes
most
it
definitely.
fun. And, and it just kind of goes to show, like, even how you mentioned is that now, since we know more, there's certain things that we even like limit ourselves to.
Right.
Like, I really want to just like get rid of that. Like, I don't want to go into like any type of photo or video and like already think of, oh, this is the proper way to do it, or this is how I'm going to set it. Like, I just want to like be as random as possible until people like ask me, like, what are you doing? Like, what is your work even? Like,
Right. Right.
'cause I
Right.
want to like throw people off enough to where they're just like, can see that there's no predictability. It's
Right.
just like as raw and as random and as it can be, because it's true. There's always those technical rules, and it's funny because those rules only exist within the community.
Hmm.
If you think about it, no, like only photographers and videographers are going to be like, oh, why did he do that angle when it's
Right.
like this? But everybody else is just like, yo, that's dope.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely learned that. Uh, Learned that when I had a EP cover recently, and it was my least favorite photo of the set. And I thought there were some real good ones in there that I was like really feeling. I was like, he's gonna use one of those probably. He used my least favorite one in the set, and I was just like, damn, like I don't know how I feel about this photo. And I'm like
Mhm.
reading the comments, and everybody's just like, this cover. I went into a radio interview with him in San Francisco, and the first thing the radio host said is, that cover was the first thing that drew me to the project. And I was just like,
Wow.
okay, so I guess people do like it.
Yeah.
But to this day, I don't like it. I don't like that photo. But if other people do, it's not my concern. My job was well served.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that happens on like every shoot where that's why sometimes I try and like, of course, unless they paid, but even then I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to edit the ones that I like. I'm not even going to let you look at them because you're going to choose all the ones out of focus, all the ones that are blurry,
Yeah.
the ones that are like, not,
You're gonna see all the misses that go into making one hit. Yeah.
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 No, but it's funny
But
because that's usually the ones that they like, for whatever reason.
yeah.
Like how do I get out of my head and like understand why they like that? Like, it's it's that game. It goes to show that like we pay attention to different things.
Right.
As a creative and them as just the consumer in the sense.
Yeah. I mean, some of the coolest photos I've done of people, the complaints are is they're like, man, I like these ones, the ones that I thought were like okay. Again, they're like, because in the other ones I look kind of ugly, and I don't like that. And I'm like, yeah, I forget how that goes. I forget when you're taking pictures of people. Like at the end of the day, they're like, I don't want to post that because like my skin looks weird, or
Yeah,
my yeah, or I was having a bad skin day and I was too close, or my hair isn't
whatever.
neat
Yeah,
enough. Yeah, so
it's funny. It's a whole different thing. They could care less if it was taken with a potato. If they're at like some crazy weird
right,
location, like if they look good, it's a good photo.
right, for real,
It's
for
funny. I
real.
had one experience like that. There was a photo shoot for Pursuit of Portraits in New York, and there was like a meetup, right? But it was like the coldest day of the
Right.
year. Like we were like dying, and I'm talking about we were layered up, like coats upon coats,
Yeah.
cars, and everybody like it was super cold. So then, by the time of like I don't know, even 1 hour into the meetup, people were getting cold, and there was this one girl who caught like she was getting like real blue in the face.
Yeah.
So like all this, it looked like she kind of had like a beard going on because of how blue it was.
Yeah.
And so we did a few shots, but it came out like the shots were like super dope. It was like, perfect, like light coming from the
Yeah.
back and like everybody. And those were some of my favorite. But every time I try to post it, she's like, oh my God, I don't like it. I look like I have a beard and this and that. And I'm like, look, all the editing in the world can't take that out. Like,
Right. Right.
I don't notice it as much as you do, but they'll like still comment on it. And now that's the only thing I remember about that shoot.
Right.
is
Yeah,
the
it kind of ruins the moment for you too.
But then I
Yeah.
realized I was like, yeah, it is, it is a model. So I kind of have to like worry about how they look overall, like the
Right.
whole shoot.
That's kind of their first priority. It's like, to me, it's just like, if that light's hidden and if my colors are hidden, that's a good one
That's
to
it.
me.
Yeah.
I don't really care about how the person looks.
Or how your hair
But,
is flying. And
yeah, yeah. But other people are more conscious about it. So, I mean,
that's funny.
you can't win them all.
No, I definitely can't. But it's good to like, just every time like I hear those, I always like kind of snap back in and like, all right, your work, who is it for? And like,
Right.
is it actually representing? So it's good to kind of snap back into that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Most definitely. I agree for sure.
So, brother, so real quick, just kind of like wrapping up a little bit. But I always like to ask, like, if you have some type of, how do you say that? Like a tip or like a takeaway that's just like, if there's like one thing that you just want to like see more creatives like do or like be conscious about, like what would be that one thing that you would give to them?
Uh, One thing I would like to see more creatives do is go out and explore more. Really, because I feel like there's so many spots I don't see enough. On social medias in the city, like go out and explore more. Because really, you can keep going back to the spot over the years if it's a good spot and like see it in so many different scenarios, and it's totally worth it. One thing I would like creatives to be more conscious about is making the right people famous, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we have a lot of not worthy people in the media getting attention, and like, well, we're at an era where I guess politically correctness is a thing, but I've never heard more misogyny in rap music ever, or more things that make no sense being publicized. So really, like, just be conscious about who you put forward. And yeah, that's about it.
Definitely. So then, no, that's dope, and that's very important because, uh, especially now, everybody has a voice, and every voice can impact. So even music has a huge and powerful impact. I also grew up in, listening to rap. I'm from New Jersey, you know, borderline New York. So even the same, like the artists that I appreciate and I can listen to are the ones who speak from the heart.
Right.
Sometimes like what they call like the underground, but the underground rappers are just the ones who are speaking the truth and they're keeping it real.
Sure.
You
Sure.
know, and so I definitely hear like what you're saying. Like those are the people with that that raw talent, and that true message. But I feel like the reason I guess it doesn't get like as popular as it should is because people don't like to hear the truth.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
I think there's something about, like, when you listen to Jay-Z, it's like classic, and it's like the blueprint to, in a way, like Jay-Z, like, rest in peace Nipsey, like those are all like blueprints to like being like an entrepreneur in a way. Especially like, Nipsey. And then you're gonna compare that to like some SoundCloud 18-year-old kid with face tats all over his face, like, like, it's just, I guess it's easier to turn your brain off and listen to that shit. But we live in a strange time, uh, and I think, our music should reflect that, and everything you do has a subconscious effect on your mental state. So if you're listening to things that are helping you, and if you're getting game from listening to the music that you're listening to, or, learning a little bit more about the world, it helps you grow.
Yeah.
And if you're listening to some dude talking about popping Zans and,
I
Whatever the fuck's in right now, I don't even know. Like, I think that has a negative effect on a generation in society eventually.
yeah, no, I'm there with you because I mean, I'm definitely older than you, but
Right.
not as old as like I'm in that level where I'm young enough to hang around young people, to be around the old people. You know, like
Yeah.
everybody's comfortable with me, so
Yeah.
you know, even like the music nowadays, like I've listened to like the recent stuff just kind of to know like what's going on. But like
Yeah.
I was just like when I first started like, you know, actually retracking like the last few years, I'm just like, what is going on? Like these people are artists, like these are what's hits right now. Like you know,
Right.
it
Right.
was a big shock to me, but you know, like I can understand every generation had its ups and
Yeah,
downs.
ups and downs. Yeah. Yeah.
This one is just a little bit more. I guess it's just because this is the only generation that's 100% like publicized.
Right.
Like this
Of course.
generation where everything is seen. Like back then, it's like unless you were like in the rock scene, like you would have no idea what's going on with the rock artists and like the you know those artists, or unless you were in the rap scene, like you have no idea what's going on.
Of course. Of
Now it's
course.
like even
Yeah.
if you're not in that scene, you're seeing it everywhere because it's reflected on the whole society.
Sure. Sure. I definitely agree.
So that's crazy. We live in a great time
Yeah.
and great generation.
I can't wait to see the CNN documentary about it in 20 years, the 2010s.
Yeah,
That'll be a
right.
good one. Yeah.
Definitely. We're gonna be those people like looking back like it's not
Yeah.
my generation. I wasn't there.
There's gonna be some ridiculous stuff.
Yeah.
So,
But it's I mean the good
it'll
thing
be
is that
funny.
yeah, we always I feel like as a society, like every 20 years we kind of go back again. So it's like
Right.
20 years will pass and then we'll just like
It
it's like so
refreshes. I think
yeah,
we're seeing it with fashion right now. They're like all the classic, like older styles that like people were into are coming back again. You know.
yeah. Yeah, no, 70s and 80s are making a
Yeah.
comeback. So
Yeah. So I think it's interesting to see the way the world works. It's
yeah.
what's been tried and tested always comes back.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
might take a hit.
Definitely, brother. So, real quick, just to let everybody know, so where can people follow you and like check out your work if they want to continue to like see your progress? Where would be the best place for them?
Sure, sure. So my Instagram's at Kybalion VFX. That's KYBALION VFX. Uh, my website is my name, which is hard. Otherwise, I would just say it. You know, my name isn't Tom or anything, so it's a little difficult. It's my last name Popli POPLIANSHIL.com. That's also a good way to tap in if you want, I guess, a broader depth of work. So Instagram, you can't really share everything, especially video wise. So I think
Mhm.
that's a good place to tap in. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Dope. And I'll definitely leave it tagged so everybody can see it. So and also your video work. So are they mostly on your website or can we find them on YouTube as well? Or
you can find them on YouTube if you typed in Kybalion VFX for sure. Yeah,
okay. And then
yeah.
I had a question about that. Where did that name come from?
It's a book I read actually called The Kybalion, which was it was a college book I read. I took a philosophy course and I was really bummed about it until I got this book. And I would say changed. It's a very simple way to operate your life. I really liked it. So yeah, I just took that and I was like,
That's it. Ran with
I
it.
believe in. I want to slap it on my name. I guess that's what we're doing. So it was the only thing I could think of at the time. You know, what I always forget whenever you have to create a new Instagram account. It's like, what do you want your handle to be? And I was just like, sure, like let's
I
go,
just put it.
let's go.
That's dope. Oh,
Yeah,
but that's a good reason. Hey, that's
yeah,
how everybody starts. Is it's something that impacted you at some point of your life, and now it's reflecting through your work. So,
sure, sure.
dope, brother. So I definitely appreciated the time that you took out to for us to talk today, and you know, even I always do these. Like I learn a lot from you. You know,
Sure,
even
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so.
Likewise, man. I really appreciate the
Likewise.
time you put
Yeah,
forth out of your day.
definitely, brother. So, again, you know, thank you for coming on. Everybody who's listening, definitely go to check out his work. I'll leave everything tagged in the description. So So no, nothing will be missing. Every link will be there, so you can definitely check it out. And I'm excited to see the work that you put out. Going on in the future. Like I always say, like everyone who I even meet, like through this podcast, like now we have a connection. So
Sure.
now, even though there's thousands of creators out there, but you're at the top because I know you on a personal level. So now I'm even more excited to, see the work that you've put out and then also the work that you're going to be putting out. So
Cool. Yeah,
definitely
yeah. Likewise, man.
have my
Likewise.
support moving forward. And so just to finish off with the podcast, as I always say to everyone listening, is each and every one of you are super creators. You just have to find your superpower. So until the next episode, I'll check you guys out.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Not a problem.